A dark reality lies beyond the closed doors of what appear to be ordinary homes. Millions of lives are destroyed by domestic violence, a widespread and nefarious threat that undermines the basic values of intimacy, love, and trust. According to an article written by Randawar and Hezron 2018, the problem of spousal violence is widespread in Malaysia. The Malaysian Parliament passed the Domestic Violence Act 1994, Act number 521, sometimes known as the DVA 1994, in early 1994 in an effort to address this issue. Our team chose care ethics to look at the problem of domestic abuse. Care ethics is a way of thinking about right and wrong that focuses on being kind and caring to others. It says that people are connected to each other, and our happiness depends on how others are doing too. When we think about domestic abuse, care ethics helps us understand why it's wrong. It makes us think about how people should be treated in our close relationship and how we can be more caring and understanding.
Care ethics emphasizes the role of empathy, compassion, and nurturing in a moral decision-making, presenting a perspective that diverges from traditional justice-based approaches to ethics. For comparison, care ethics advocates for context-specific judgments like emotions, such as empathy, compassion, and care, rather than applying universal principles. On the other hand, traditional ethical theories such as deontology and utilitarianism often emphasize universal principles and rational decision-making. Care ethics was developed in response to the perceived limitations of traditional ethical theories like deontology and utilitarianism.
In the context of domestic violence, care ethics can help us understand it in the context of the individual in the relationship, how the dynamics of care and empathy can be distorted and exploited by perpetrators, leading to a breakdown in the moral fabric of the relationship. According to Health 2010, domestic violence involves the manipulation of caring relationship where perpetrators exploit to care for one another as a means of exerting control and inflicting harm.
By examining the ways in which care and empathy are manipulated and coerced, we can better comprehend the ways in which domestic violence is not only a violation of individual rights, but also a corruption of the very relationships that are meant to provide safety, support, and love.
The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a significant surge in domestic violence cases. Lockdowns and stay-at-home orders have forced people to spend more time at home, resulting in increased domestic strife and violence. The United Nations has called this phenomenon a shadow pandemic. In the United States, the National Domestic Violence Hotline received more than 74,000 calls, chats, and texts in February, the highest monthly contact volume of its 25-year history. Experts believe that the pandemic's isolating impacts have increased the risk for potential victims, and policymakers and researchers should work to further understand the impacts of the pandemic and provide additional resources for domestic abuse prevention and victim services.
The COVID-19 pandemic has not only claimed thousands of lives, but it has also had a devastating impact on the economy. Many individuals have lost their jobs or are struggling to make ends meet with reduced incomes. This economic instability can have far-reaching consequences, including increased stress and violence within households. In fact, research has shown that financial strain can be a significant predictor of domestic violence. Domestic violence, which encompasses physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, is often associated with intimate partner violence between couples. According to a study published in 2000 by Hegarty, Hinmarsh, and Giles, intimate partner violence is a pervasive issue that affects millions of people around the world. The pandemic has only worsened this problem, leaving many victims feeling trapped and isolated.
For this analysis, the data that we have acquired from the questionnaire is that 73.2% were female respondents and 26.8% were males. From the 56 respondents, we managed to get respondents aged from 18 to 30 years old. The majority are from the age of 21 to 24 years old. The race of our respondents are mostly Bumiputra Sarawak, followed by Malay and Bumiputra Sabah, while the rest are Chinese and Indian. Most of our respondents are still single, while some are married, divorced, as well as widowed. Lastly, students are our majority of respondents, followed by full-time workers, and some are unemployed or retired. Thank you.
So, in our questionnaires, we asked respondents if they were aware of the term domestic violence. The majority indicated awareness, reflecting the success of initiatives in promoting understanding of domestic violence. So, when asked if they had ever experienced any form of domestic violence in their relationships, most respondents answered no, suggesting they have non-violent partners and are in healthy relationships. However, those who answered yes may be experiencing toxic relationship with their partners.
Out of 56 respondents, 30 or 53.6% think that public awareness about domestic violence in Malaysia is adequate, while 26 or 46.4% think it is inadequate. This suggests that awareness is somewhat adequate. Despite efforts to increase awareness, many actions and facts were exposed on a superficial level. Next, 44 or 78.6% of respondents strongly agree that more public awareness about domestic violence is needed. Domestic violence is rarely discussed in depth, and sometimes perpetrators receive lenient punishments. There have been cases where domestic violence involved deaths of the victims. Lastly, 36 or 66.1% of respondents strongly agree that shelters for domestic violence victims are needed. These shelters provide safety and help victims recover, especially those financially dependent on their abusers. Shelters often offer programs to support victims' well-being. That is all from me, thank you.
Based on our finding from the questionnaire, we have provided an open-ended section where we ask the respondent, first, what measure do you think is necessary to prevent domestic violence in Malaysia? And the second question being, if you or someone you know is in a situation where you are abused, what would you do? So, as for the first question, we got 46 responses, whereas they are suggesting to enforce adequate laws on domestic violence in Malaysia, and having a 24/7 hotline for those who are experiencing it, as well as media awareness, as most people are capable of getting access to the internet nowadays. As for the second question, most of the respondents have shown empathy when it comes to victims of domestic violence. For instance, most respondents would lodge a police report, as this is the safest way to stop the situation without risking their safety. Apart from that, some of the respondents would offer emotional support to the victims and provide shelter for them to escape from the perpetrators.
In conclusion, domestic violence is a widespread and concerning issue in Malaysia, threatening family values of closeness, love and trust. The Care Ethics Lens offers a valuable framework for understanding and addressing this issue, highlighting the importance of empathy, compassion, and nurturing relationships. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the problem, emphasizing the need for a society that fosters caring, understanding, and compassion. By building support networks and promoting care ethics, we can work towards ending the cycle of abuse and creating a world where human connections are cherished and safeguarded, promoting genuine healing and progress for all those affected. Thank you.